Alrighty, friends, we are back. It's your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 678. We're recording on July the 15th, and happy to be here. How are you, Abriana?
I'm good. It's a hot summer day here in New York. Glad to be here. Yeah, things are good. It's just like can't believe we're halfway through the year here.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, right? That it's gone so fast. Yeah, it's been super hot up here in Toronto as well. I play on a softball team. We play on Sundays, so I was out yesterday and it was like feeling like 40 Celsius here. And then in the middle of the game, we got a thunderstorm that just we stopped the game. And then within like 30 minutes afterwards, the temperature had dropped by 10 degrees.
Wow.
It was crazy. Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah, that's welcome to summer. So,
yep, nothing like a hot, wet blanket in the middle of the day.
yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, we have four stories we want to walk through today. I'll let Abriana, as usual, kick us off with some media stuff.
Yeah, so staying in the retail space, we've been talking a lot about retail and commerce media networks and just the evolution of what's happening right now in our industry. And this is another story with Fairchild Retail Media Network, which doesn't necessarily own the retail stores, but they partner with them through a lot of different things, including some of their technology. And now they're partnering with another Australian company called Tutch. That's Tutch, and they provide an in-store digital platform. So their Touch is really focused on minimizing the stock and space investment for retailers while expanding the offerings to the consumer. And now they're partnering with Fairchild, their ad tech company, specifically on their LOCLshop technology. So LOCLshop is something that they use where Fairchild will send like text messages that incentivize people to visit stores, right? And then once they're inside the store, they're utilizing Touch's digital platform that's going to continue that customer experience through the self-service screens. So customers can do different things, right? They can take advantage of personalized offers, discover new products, connect directly with the brands, and then access all the products that the retailer has available. The LOCLshop technology on the Fairchild side uses proximity-based media networks, hyper-targeted, location-based marketing offers, all those buzzwords that we love to say on the show. And they have advertising that's based specifically on purchase history, current location, things like that. So once a customer receives one of these notifications, they get enticed to go into a store. Then the touch experience can kind of take them the next step of the way and take advantage of that. So, I think this is not really that like new or interesting. We've been seeing these types of things. I'm not really sure how much there is a connection between the two platforms. That was not really described in detail in this announcement, but I think if there is an application where you can connect the data and crosswalk the data from the ad exposure with what's happening with LOCLshop and that platform into Touch's digital platform and how they're engaging in the store, then that's a very compelling story to me because it kind of gives you that more of a 360 consumer journey view. Whether you're the retailer or the media seller, like you want to be able to kind of understand how consumers moving through the funnel, right? So from like experience and like that brand awareness and just maybe how effective or engaged they are with your brand or your product into all the way like what actually leads them to that point of sale. So I think that if that is a component here, feel free to reach out to us if you are from one of these companies to share if that is or how that's happening. Then I find this much more engaging and exciting. I think that, also the more that this is like a seamless interaction and some of the media networks or commerce media networks maybe have like more of an end-to-end solution. But again, it's early days, things are piecemeal together. I think we're going to see more of these end-to-end things take place. But right now, it's like one network is going to provide one component, another platform is going to provide something else throughout the life of this digital journey. So I think it's just like interesting to see how certain companies are starting to put pieces of the puzzle together and then where there's some gaps. I think it's a great area for startups to look into and see like if their technology or their ideas can kind of fill some of these voids that are there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued by this. I think that, we've talked a lot about retail media networks, mostly, looking at it from the retailer owned, digital signage operations within their store networks. And a lot of what we've focused on, I think, is, the attribution that can come from, the technologies and the measurement that's being tied to that, right? So X number of people were in the store, so many people walked by the screen. Here's, how many eyeballs, were exposed to it, all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's important, and I think, people are still looking for that. But we focus less, I think, on, how do we actually drive people to these stores, to potentially be exposed to that. And I think that, the local shop platform here, I think, is an interesting one. We don't hear a lot of text-based solutions out in the marketplace. I mean, there are obviously some, our good friend Ron, at Seven Media, runs a company that does that. But I think that, there's potential here, right? And, I look at it as the analytics and attribution part is super important, and that's where the industry seems really focused. But, if you can, to your point, link the two together and you can say, okay, I ran a campaign, or I targeted people on this platform, and then we can show, okay, how many of those people actually, resulted in traffic to the store, and then, even go the step further to say, okay, how many of those people who were in the store from the campaign were then exposed, or actually reacted or responded to, what they saw. Then you get this more closed loop, scenario, and I think it's super interesting. So, and I think here, obviously I'm in Toronto in Canada here, and, we don't see a lot of, the retail media network type of play here at the same level as we see it in the US. So I think there's, a lot of potential for powering these, and even powering, how do you define who these audiences are you want to reach in the first place, right? With these targeted text messages or ads, right? So I think there's a lot of collaboration there. I'd love to chat more with these guys. So, all right. If you're hearing that, that's thunder and lightning outside again right now. So anyhow. All right. Moving on to our second story. So we're going to talk about a partnership that's emerged here between two companies. One's called Swift Navigation. They're a precise positioning technology company working primarily in automotive and IoT. And a company called Calian Group, which is a Canadian company, publicly traded here on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and they're in the GNSS space. And so what these guys are doing is they've teamed up to create an integrated GNSS hardware solution that links Swift's precise positioning capabilities with, what Calian is doing with their antenna technology. And so the focus here is there's, these small antennas. They have a kind of multiple form factors around this. So there's a patch version of this that, a ceramic patch version of the antenna that can be placed on, robots or, different kinds of devices. They have different form factors, like I said. So this could be even applied to drones or wearables or other types of technologies there. And I think the interesting thing about this is when you talk about a drone or you talk about a robot or you talk about these technologies that we see, advancing into, our marketplace around us, obviously, the accuracy and precision of how you target where they're going, and how they move around in the world it becomes super important, right? And so I think that, what they're saying here is this combination, we're talking about centimeter level accuracy, with performance and speed that comes with that, right? And so, obviously you don't want the drone, going off course, or you don't want that robot, depending on what it's doing, being in the wrong position, right? And having centimeter level accuracy, I think, is super interesting and powerful capability here when you talk about this. We talk a lot on this show about indoor positioning and location technologies in that space, from, Bluetooth beacons and Wi-Fi and RFID and all sorts of other things, right? But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of challenges with, getting to a centimeter level accuracy, right? So if you can have antennas in a form factor that are small enough, and you can affix them to, devices as small as a wearable, then I think this becomes something, quite powerful. So that's my thoughts on it.
I really don't have much to add. I think you covered it all very well. I think it's an area that we're going to continue to see these types of partnerships. They pop up here and there, like how do we get more granular? How do we do this in a better way? What's happening that we can track? Whether it's human driven or moving items or whether it's machine moving items, robotics, like we've got to be able to do this better. So definitely ones that we keep a pulse on here. Let's move into the retail space though, where we've got Foot Locker. Yes, Foot Locker, they've been around forever, man, and they're trying to shift, kind of shift things, shape things up a little bit. And what they're doing is focusing on a new loyalty program. And one of the key components here is they want to have this program where you can exchange points for cash and or sneaker access. So there's a lot of things they're doing that they're shaking up, but the loyalty program is going to, really be focused on this refreshed Flex Rewards program. That's FLX Rewards, if you're not familiar with that. And so it's a major turnaround. They are changing lots of other things around like their customer experience. They have some store revamps that are happening, some store concepts that are launching, and also website improvements and a new mobile app. So that's going to launch later this year. And this new Flex Cash benefit basically would allow you and I to go in and redeem points like $5, $10, $20 off sneakers, which is really cool. And also the loyalty program is so basically you earn 100 points for every dollar that you spend. And then they have they're kind of like pairing this with something that they've been doing, which was free returns as part of this relaunch, which is always nice. I don't know why anybody would charge for returns still. That's interesting to me. So they're getting with the days here. And then the company's aiming, they've got some pretty ambitious goals in terms of penetration for this loyalty program. They're hoping for 50% loyalty penetration by 2026 and then 70% for the future moving on. So they have a pilot that's happening in Canada, and they saw customers that were shopping with Foot Locker that number increase, so happening more often, buying more with what they did. And I would say that what's interesting is that a key goal of the program is to bring in more average consumers, but they also kind of have this like parallel path where they're introducing features that are geared towards sneakerheads, right? Like people that want maybe more exclusive opportunities to take them up on those like fun drops that you get, that there's not that many, maybe limited items. So I think this is very similar to what Nike does and Adidas does. I think they're kind of like trying to get a little bit closer to how the actual sneaker makers are playing this game, and having that direct, I would say, conversation and engagement and loyalty with their shopper base. So I think this is a smart move. It's tough to be in retail these days. I think what's interesting is like I use the Nike app a lot. I love sneakers. I mean, I just love shoes in general, but I would definitely wear a lot of sneakers. And so I love the fact that there's like some things that are exclusive or I get a first opportunity at because I'm a Nike app user. And I also get lots of loyalty points. I can use the extra coupons. Like that to me keeps me engaged. And it's something I will look at on an ongoing basis. So I think that, being able to do that with a variety of brands as Foot Locker can do is a powerful thing because not everybody's loyalty to one sneaker brand and they just kind of want to be able to have that new drop. So this, I think, unlocks a lot of opportunity for them to get a little closer. What do you think?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm back. I went to grab something. So yeah, no, I really like this. I think in particular some of the features in the new app that they're kind of putting out there, I really love. I love the, beyond the loyalty aspect of itself and, being able to have cashback rewards. I think to me that drives a lot of people, especially in the economy that we're in right now. But I love this, sort of idea that you can they've got this thing that they're calling a heat monitor in the app to tell shoppers how hot a product drop is likely to be, and if it's just hot or it's atomic or they got these levels of how viable this thing's going to be. They're talking about having members only sales events or one-off giveaways, to win sneakers for a year or things like that. So I think there's a lot of things here. And as you said, I mean, I've seen capabilities like some of these things in the Nike app or the Adidas app or things like that. It's good to see, from a retail perspective, them moving into this space, right? And I think, I've known you for a long time. I know you're a sneakerhead. Um, I'm less so, but I'm starting to get more and more into it. And one thing here, I'll just share with you. So I was just recently, um, eh, um, we with my startup, we do a lot of work with AWS, and up here in Canada, they have a partnership with the NBA and the Toronto Raptors, and so. I guess because we spend so much money with them, they had this corporate event recently, which we got invited to. And so everybody, it was a very intimate event. I think there was only like 50 people that were invited to this, but every single one of us got a custom, sort of pair of Adidas shoes, right? So like here are my, I don't know if you can see that, but these are my Raptor Adidas specs, right?
Amazing.
So you can see like the little Raptor, like little
Yeah,
shoes on it, and then it's got like, like the little Raptor. I don't know if you can see that there
a
on
little
the thing
bit.
there.
Yep, your
Yeah,
virtual
sorry.
background makes it a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. But there you go.
That's
There you go. That's better. Uh,
good.
but yeah, they're pretty cool, right? And so I think, like exclusive items and trying to drive people, to these fan experiences are interesting, right? And I think, it's a great way also to say, hey, come to the mall or come to the store where, that's in the mall, and there's a DJ playing, and there's a party atmosphere to it, and there's giveaways and there's things happening. So I think if you can drive that through a mobile app, it'll also result typically in a lot more downloads and traffic to your app, right? So I think that's I think there's a lot of potential in that. And it reminds me too, I don't know, you might remember way 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 back in the early days of the LBMA, we had that campaign down in Guatemala in a mall with a sneaker retailer, and they were like doing this geo conquesting where they were like geofence the competitor, sneaker shop in the mall, and then when people were inside of that, geofence, they captured them and then basically pushed them an ad to say run as fast as you can to our store, and for every second, that was incrementing, you were losing, from it went from 100% discount till whenever you arrived. So if you got there 40 seconds later, your discount was 60% or whatever, right? So like that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of fun you can have with that. And especially, in capturing audiences like we do with, at ground level, in terms of people who went to, competitive environments, and then building audiences that you can target to either drive app downloads or, just incentivize, campaigns, with offers like this. So I really like it.
Fun. That
Okay.
was a good one. We used that video a lot. It was like a great campaign.
Yeah.
Early
Yeah.
days too. Like it was kind of interesting to see such early adoption out of South America.
Yeah. Yeah. Really cool. All right, final story. This one's an interesting one. So we're going over to Uzbekistan now, and the government there is working on a new initiative to provide prisoners with online shopping via kiosks. Okay, so they're going to be running a I guess an RFP or whatever, and people will be bidding on this capability, but they're going to be having these kiosks that are set up. They're enabled through facial recognition, so the individual will be recognized, installed in the detention centers, and inmates and their families can then basically browse, through this online catalog through a kiosk, and then choose the items that they need, to send to, their inmates from that. Or that they can buy for themselves if they have the capability to do that. So I think this is super interesting. That we're seeing technology like that, like an e-commerce type of shopping kiosk show up in an environment, like a prison. But it kind of makes sense, right? Like that, eventually, these technologies are going to make their way, no matter what type of venue or property it is, right? And so they're talking about there's like, I guess I don't know if it's a private investor or a corporate one, but there's a group that's putting this sort of bid together to be selected through this tender process. um and they're going to go anywhere from a 6 month, lease agreement to a 3 year agreement to kind of test and see how this rolls out. So, what are your thoughts?
Man, even incarcerated people need to go shopping, right?
Yeah,
They gotta buy
yeah.
some stuff too. So I think this is interesting application. I mean, um, it may be actually a better application than like in real world scenarios, to be honest, just because I don't know. It's like almost as if it's a controlled group, right? It is a controlled group. It's a control group. And so I think that especially if you're like, how does this tech work? And you're to kind of like minimizing some of the nuances that you might see in real world. This is a great place to test that out, but definitely an interesting application.
There you go. We learn something new every day. Okay, so that's our show for this week. You've been listening and watching episode number 678 of Location Weekly. As always, we thank you for your time, for tuning in and sharing your time with us. If you are one of the companies that we've talked about this week, please reach out to us. We always want to dig deeper, learn more from you about, sort of the inside scoop of what actually is going on that the media hasn't reported on. So let us know, or just find us on LinkedIn or on social media. We're easily available. Yeah, and if you're a listener or viewer, give us some likes, some love on whatever social media channel you're consuming this on, or podcast platform. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again next week with another show. Take care. Bye for now.